Hisense brought the heat to its own Hisense U8G when it launched the U8H earlier this year. The U8H aimed to bring increased HDR performance and deeper black levels, and maybe land a place among the best TVs. So, is the Hisense U8H a worthy successor to the Hisense U8G? Which of these two is the best buy for you? Hey, let's find out. For more information and updated prices, check the links in the comments below. While the Hisense U8H may not have the flattest profile or cutting-edge design, it does a good job of keeping bezels to a minimum. It has a long, noticeable silver bar along the bottom where you'll find the Hisense insignia, but the rest of the edges are all screen. Like the U8G, the back of the Hisense U8H isn't slim. From front to back, you're looking at depth of around 3 inches. That's not unreasonable, but it's certainly going to hang out a bit if you want to wall mount it. The Hisense U8H uses standard VESA 400 by 400mm brackets, so it shouldn't be a difficult job. But inside the box, you'll also find 2 legs if you'd rather put it on a table. The good news is that the legs can be placed further apart if you want more stability, or closer together if the table that you're placing the TV on isn't very wide. This offers some decent versatility in where you can place the TV. As for the U8G, while it isn't the slickest looking TV out there, it has some design elements that make it distinct. The case is mostly dark, hard plastic. The case houses a quantum dot LCD panel that features full array backlighting with 360 local dimming zones. The result is a uniform picture all the way to the edges. The back of the TV has a diamond pattern to it, and the front features a slim bezel and a metal strip at the bottom with a few angular touches to give the TV design some flair. Speaking of flair, the U8G's stand stands out. Instead of the boomerang style that is common these days, Hisense uses 2 triangular feet that form an arch for the TV to sit on. It definitely catches the eye. Whether that's what you want in a stand is a matter of personal preference. The stand provides a sturdy, if slightly wide base. The footprint with the stand attached is 10.2 inches. Also, if the stand isn't your style or doesn't offer enough clearance for your soundbar, you can use a mount that supports 400 by 300 VESA pattern. Any of the options on the best TV mount should do the trick. In terms of ports, with either of the TVs, you've got 4 HDMI ports on the back. 2 of these ports will support 4K at 120 Hz, while the other 2 only support 4K at 60 Hz. However, that's not incredibly uncommon on mid-range models like the Hisense U8H or even the U8G. But having all 4 of them be full-spec HDMI 2.1 would have been great and would probably cause fewer headaches. Besides HDMI, the rest of the ports include an RF antenna input that hooks up to an ATSC 3.0 tuner and a single composite video input, as well as 2 USB ports. For sound, you can connect via the 3.5mm headphone jack on the side, or optical digital audio, or 3.5mm serial input on the back, or go wireless with Bluetooth. Inside both the TVs, there's an 802.11 AC dual-band Wi-Fi antenna, or you can use the Ethernet port on the back. In terms of performance, the Hisense U8H is a roller coaster with some of the best performance you'll ever see on a mid-range TV in terms of brightness, contrast, and color saturation, but extremely lackluster when it comes to motion processing and upscaling. It measures an incredible 1300 nits in a 10% window right out of the box in standard mode with 99.6% of the Rec 709 color gamut covered. That's significantly higher than the U8G, minus 1 or 2 of Sony's top models. If you switch the modes to its calibrated settings, you can easily squeeze upwards of 2000 nits from the TV in 80% of the Rec 2020 color standard. For a mid-range TV, these numbers are extraordinary. The problem here is that when you put these numbers against real-world content, especially content that isn't native 4K HDR, everything from YouTube videos to HD Netflix streams just don't pop the way they do on other TVs with the same specs and performance data. One issue that comes with the U8G is the color banding, where in sunsets you could see a distinct cutoff point between the end of one hue and the start of another rather than one flowing mural. Another issue is the way in which it handles motion, as objects simply look blurry when they're in motion. Thankfully, you can turn motion interpolation off entirely in the settings, but it's a shame motion processing isn't a bit better than what it is. The good news is that it has no noticeable blooming and the black levels are great. For HDR content, the U8H provides a great experience and gamers won't have an issue with motion or lag time as the U8H supports auto low latency mode and 120 Hz VRR. The U8G on the other hand and impresses immediately with its color and contrast. Credit this to the combination of the TV's brightness and support for HDR, Dolby Vision HDR10+, HDR10, and HLG. The U8G comes with a ton of picture modes, and you should explore them because each has a significant impact on what you see. The picture mode options differ based on the source material, which can be confusing. If you're watching something that supports Dolby Vision, you get 3 options: Dolby Vision IQ, Dolby Vision Dark, and Dolby Vision Custom. If it's not in Dolby Vision, you can choose from more options, including Vivid, Standard, Theater Day, and Filmmaking mode. The latter 2 can turn off all motion smoothing. This is a plus, especially if you're not a fan of motion smoothing. The U8G's main flaw is limited viewing angles. Scenes appear washed out on the sides of the screen if you get too far from center while watching. In terms of audio performance, the Hisense U8G has 2 speakers that drive 15 watts of power. It delivers decent overall sound for a TV. It creates a wide sound and has some bass, where many TVs produce none. The U8G supports Dolby Atmos and IMAX Enhanced, a DTS-X variant. With this Android TV, you get quite a few ways to adjust the sound, multiple sound modes, and even an equalizer. That isn't the case for the U8H. Its audio performance is a lot like the HDR performance. It's great. The U8H has 2 10-watt speakers and a 20-watt woofer that handles dialogue and dynamic audio with aplomb. Normally difficult to hear dialogue becomes instantly more discernible when watching it on the U8H, and the volume of its iconic introduction music is enough to rattle the walls. Of course, you might not want blaring bass all the time, so it's worth playing around in the sound setting a bit to get things how you like them. If you really want to milk the most out of the system though, you'll want to connect it to Dolby Atmos soundbar. You can pass an Atmos signal to the soundbar using an eARC port on the back of the TV, which is nice for folks who are ready for the full effect of spatial audio. On board the U8H is Google TV, the successor to Android TV, and arguably one of the better smart TV platforms on the market right now. What I like most about Google TV is the ability to surface content that you might like from any number of streaming services. Like Roku, Google TV is fairly agnostic. It doesn't really care which streaming services that you use and won't refer you to one more than any others. Though it's responsive and speedy right out of the box, I'm of course worried about how well the platform will age on this model. Yes, it has a decent processor, but Google TV is a resource-heavy platform with lots of graphical elements. You can always add on a smart streaming stick sometime down the road once Google TV starts slowing down, but ideally, you'd be able to use the smart platform built into the TV for its entire lifespan, something the Hisense U8G have had problems with. But don't let that discourage you. The fact that it is powered by Android TV brings with it a lot of options. With all that it can do, Android TV can tax some TVs, but on the U8G, it is responsive. Like all Android TVs, the home screen by default shows recommended shows, favorite apps, and shows that you're currently watching. You can customize the home screen to show personalized recommendations, and you can pick your favorite apps. You can also select which apps will show you more detailed recommendations. For example, you could have Disney Plus show recommended movies and TV shows on the home screen instead of launching the app to see them. Before we sum it all up, if you're enjoying today's video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this. All in all, the Hisense U8G is an impressive QLED TV, regardless of the price. From its scores on brightness, color, and lag time to its excellent contrast and detail, the U8G shows its prowess as one of the best TVs. It even runs Android TV quickly. My quibbles with motion smoothing are easily overcome by turning it off or down if you prefer, and the average sound can be fixed with the soundbar. The mediocre viewing angles is something you'll have to live with. On the other hand, the Hisense U8H doesn't bring down the house with its performance, but thanks to its mini LED backlight, it does shake the foundation of what it means to be a mid-range TV. Its specs are truly eye-watering for the price. If you're in the market for a new mid-range TV, I would highly recommend going for the Hisense U8H, since it blows the U8G out of the water in almost every aspect. It's a lot brighter, it's been updated to the latest Google TV interface, it displays HDR content much closer to the content creator's intent, and it's a little bit cheaper, and even the sound has been boosted to a whole new level. Let me know in the comments what you think. For more information and updated prices, check the links in the description box below. If you still haven't found the TV you're looking for, check our previous video about the top 5 best 4K TVs, and subscribe to our channel as we upload new reviews weekly.